Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Check. 3, 4. Are we live? We're live. I think we're live. All right. What's good, party people? My name is Walter Jennette, and this is my truth. All right, so today is Sunday, February the 16th. I'm recording this um, at a time I'd normally be at church. Um, there's some things I want to talk about, and you guys know my mantra, which is, well, if you don't, it's create, inspire, and solve. And it's the three things that I feel like God put me here on this earth to do, um, in some sort of dispensation of each. To create, to inspire other people, and to solve problems. And while those are things that I'm great at and I'm good at in regards to helping other people, I've kind of sucked at that when it comes to myself. Um, and so the reason I brought up the whole church thing is because, like, I've been in a very difficult place, for like the past, this is February, so 2 months. I say past 8 months. Let's just say past year, going all the way back into 2019. And it's been crazy. And I kind of want to talk about that. I want to speak to that. Because I got to get delivered, and I got to get delivered now. I got to get delivered today. My future is riding on it, and I want you to understand because you may not be uh, religious, you may not be spiritual if you're watching this. But I'm not talking about the connotation that you may normally hear it in. I'm not about to roll on the floor and start foaming at the mouth and saying all kind of obscenities. Um, I'm making a decision, and granted, this is a decision that I will have to walk out. I've been walking it out all of my life. Um, I've got this huge monkey on my back, and I got this elephant on my chest, and I got the weight of the world. It feels like on my shoulder, and I can't deal with it. So I'm choosing. This will be one of the most important pieces of content that you will ever see me produce, see me put out. And I'm big on honesty. I'm big on not lying to other people. I'm big on not lying to yourself, and so. This is a chance, an opportunity for me to just share my truth with you. I don't know if I necessarily try to put it all in one video, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, the last year, I have felt so out of place, like so out of touch, just frustrated. Um, and well, let's be real. Yeah, I've been feeling like that for some years. For a long time. And the basis of the conversation today is really centered. What is it that I need to get delivered from? What am I making a decision to change in my life? It's unforgiveness. I want to talk about not forgiveness. I want to talk about unforgiveness. Ugly, 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 ugly word. And again, whether you're spiritual, whether you go to church, whether you're agnostic, whether you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. This is something that affects everybody. And, you know, God has a way of dealing with me because uh, I've been in this place where I feel like I've been out here on a limb, you know what I'm saying, by myself. Um, and some of it is because of, disobedience, me choosing to do, my own thing and what I want to do and how I want to do it. Um, and then some of it, which is all of it, is just part of Him making me and breaking me and molding me and crushing me and all of these things. So, like I said, I want to be very, very plain, very, very practical because I have an anger management problem. That's my truth. And it's bad. Now I want you to understand something. Um, it's not the typical anger management you see, issues you see where it's like you go out here, cussing everybody out, putting your hands on people, fighting, whatever. Um, my thoughts are angry. My spirit is angry. My soul is angry. My heart is angry. It's broken. Um, and it's like it's tormenting. And it's been that way for a long, long, long time. Um, but that's the symptom. That's not the root. Um, the symptom is anger, you know, but the root of it is unforgiveness. And the reason I want to take this spiritual walk is because we we preach about it, and then we go home and we commit the very sins that we we preach against. The Bible says, "Be angry and sin not," and I'm guilty of doing that. Preaching things that you don't even believe, that you struggle to believe for yourself, that you struggle to walk out in your own life, in your own home, with your own family. And it gets frustrating. I get tired of people, and it's just like, I get it. Like, God is in everything, but I'm beyond this place, and I want you to understand this is my truth. So this has nothing to do with nobody else. So this is not me judging anybody else. It's just me speaking my truth. I'm beyond emotionalism, because anger is an emotion, and I'm tired of being angry. Um, and I'm tired of this super fragilistic spotty allodosis. I don't even know how you say that, but that this type of approach, in Christianity and just religion, period, where everything is like super spooky, and it's like, well, you got to get delivered, and a lot of people, as soon as they hear that, they looking for buckets, and um, looking for paper towels and all kind of stuff. I told y'all I'm not finna roll around on the floor and start spitting up and start speaking in unknown tongues. Um, I'm making a decision, and this is a hard decision. I didn't come to this decision on my own. I came to this decision because I didn't have no choice. Because this is the way that God deals with me, and you get tired, you get frustrated, um, and you get tired because it's like, don't there are people that I see, for the past um 4 years, going back to 2016. I've kind of been on. I've had a lot of opportunity to live life and to see life on the other side of church, on the other side of religion, on the other side of pain and hurt. And there's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of misunderstanding. And I know that is even God that would allow me to even do that, because you have some people out here that are hurting, including myself, like legit hurting, for a lot of different reasons. And so many times we try to invalidate, we judge people's pain that we've never experienced. And the first thing we do, we say, well, God can. And we start quoting scripture. But what happens when God doesn't? Not saying that he won't, not saying that he can't, but what happens when he doesn't? Um, when he sends a thorn, and it's like, I got to get something out of you, and I'm not gonna take it away. Um, I'm gonna leave it right there. What happens when he doesn't change the situation? You know what I'm saying? And you have people that have been living that every day of their lives, for 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years. And they don't understand, because nobody stops and takes the time to say, hey, I understand, because I've been there. And that's what I'm trying to do today, is provide a bridge to somebody who's hurting just like I am, to somebody who's dealing with unforgiveness and bitterness and just hatred, who's dealing with unforgiveness like I am, who's just mad, who's just angry. You know, much of my childhood, I don't remember. Like a lot of my childhood is a blur. And when I say childhood, I'm talking about like up to 10. Like honestly, it's a blur. You know, sometimes I get jealous of my friends and people that I meet where they can recall things from when they were like 2 years old and when they were like three and when they were like 6 or 7, and a lot of that for me is a blur. Like I do remember some highlights. I remember getting my first Nintendo. I remember getting a Super Nintendo. I remember getting 3 Sega Genesis because none of them worked. Um, let's see what else. I remember the snow. There's this picture of me and my mom playing in the snow, and I remember that. And listen, there's not gonna be any B-roll in this. That would be epic. You know what I'm saying? Throw some of them pictures in here, but this is not what That's not what this is about. But there's a picture that I've always seen of like my mother playing with me in the snow, and I remember that. Um, I remember certain birthdays. Um, I remember when I got a skateboard. I remember when my mom threw me this big Ninja Turtles birthday party. And I was in elementary school, and got my big behind this Ninja Turtle skateboard, knowing I can't skate, but I tried to. But it was so cool. I remember when I got my first drum set. Um, yeah, I was 2. Yeah. Yeah. So I remember the first time I played football. Pee Wee, rec league. I'm from Washington, North Carolina. We didn't have no Pop Warner, so I know y'all like, what is that? But those are kind of like the highlights. With a couple of other things that I remember here and there. But other than that, the one thing that constantly sticks out to me, that has always stuck out to me, is I remember when my dad left home and didn't come back. And I remember I was 6 years old, and I was beyond my years for a 6 year old. Um, I understood some things that probably most 6 year olds don't understand, or that we probably take for granted and we think they don't understand. And especially spiritually. I was beyond my years spiritually. And so, I just remember, seeing my mother like cry endlessly, constantly. There some things around that I won't speak to, for privacy reasons, but I remember the trauma of that situation. And I remember, being 6 and, being 7, and, my sister literally was just born. I remember holding my sister. I remember getting a chance to hold my sister when she was born, and I actually got a chance to name her, which was the coolest thing. And yeah, like me and my sister aren't, as close. And I have 2 sisters, but so I'm speaking about Courtney. We're not as close as we should be, as I even would like for us to be. Um, yeah, and so that a lot of this, is gonna change that. But yeah, like I remember my dad leaving, and I remember praying, and I remember like fasting. As a kid, it's like, well, you're 6, 7 years old, you don't know anything about fasting and prayer. I did, because that's how I grew up. I tell anybody I was born on the pew, and in church. Um, and so that's like the highlight of like my childhood, like my dad leaving, and me praying and just like God, just bring my daddy back home. I see I see kids, um, especially boys. I work in the school system, and you see, um, you see kids and you see boys that you know have to you know sit at home and go to school and carry this weight of the world, and it's like father is never coming home, um for a lot of different reasons. And I get it, I understand. I know some grown men, beyond myself, who are still sitting on the porch, praying, um asking, just wishing their father would come back home. And that's I didn't understand at the time how big of an impact um, that it would have on me. But yeah, like I didn't understand, and I'm still understanding now. And it's like, I struggled with this for so long because it's always been the religious, approach. It's always been this super spiritual, like, you got to get over this and you got to get delivered from this. And, and it's, and then even beyond that, it's like, Walt, this is immature for you to still be struggling with this. And it bothers me, I'm not even gonna get into the people that have told me that. It's like, do you tell a crackhead that they're immature? Do you tell um, somebody who's struggling with drug addiction? Somebody? Do you tell the prostitute? Do you tell anybody? Like, I know we like to think that there is a level that we should all be at at the same time. That's not realistic. And I've had the opportunity to sit down um, and just see people hurting, and and to be like, whoa, like I get it. And um, I've cried about this a thousand, man, more than 1,000 times, and it's like, God, when am I? At what point am I gonna stop struggling with this? Because I see men, I see young men, I see boys, I see kids, and it kind of destroys me because I don't people understand the depth to what it means for a son to not have a father. Um, what do you do? You know, when you start growing pubic hair. You know what I'm saying? And you start going through puberty, and your body begins to change, and hormones and chemicals and all of these things are starting to happen, and there's nobody there to tell you what to do with it. What do you do? When you got to tie a tie for the first time. I didn't know how to tie a tie. I used to always wear, like, back in the day, In the '90s, it was big on like the Chinese collar shirts, and you had a little chain that would hang between the buttons. I didn't learn how to tie a tie until I'll never forget. And I was in all district honors band at ECU, and we had to wear a tie. Didn't know how to tie one, and this old white man saw me in the mirror struggling, um, and he tied the tie for me, and I want I want. hmm, I want you to understand this is not an indictment against my father. By no means, um, this is not an indictment against him. Um, because these are things that we've talked about, and life happens. But I want you to understand the depth, of people's pain. And a lot of times we give people a bad rap. We give people a bad rep. We indict people on things that were beyond their control, and it's like we sentence them to this prison of just torment and pain and anger. And you sit there, with this bitterness and this hatred and this unforgiveness, and it's like, man, but what do you do, as a young man, and your father is not there, when you like this girl, and she doesn't like you back. When you get your heart broken as a man for the first time, and it's like, what do you do with those emotions? You don't have anybody there to like say, hey, it's okay, like this is what you do with this. I didn't have that. And so, I grew up, I was smart, I was a loud, smart, funny kid, talented kid, and I grew up, and I grew up, I just grew up, I just grew, I just got older. I didn't even really grow up, I just got older. Um, and so, um, fast forward a little bit, we get to, uh, going to college, getting to Carolina, and it's like, man, um, I know I'm gonna excel. I know I'm gonna do great. I know I'm gonna make my family proud. And life just takes a turn, a turn, um, a turn. And so this is kind of the first time where this really hits me, where it's like I'm making some decisions in my life. I'm making some turns that I needed the guidance of my father, and I didn't have it. And not because he wasn't available, it's just that I didn't want to talk to him, but I wanted to talk to him. Um, I didn't feel, you know what I'm saying, that I could talk to him, that I could tell him. It's like I don't know how to say, Dad, you know, I lost my virginity, and I didn't necessarily want to lose it. Like, one minute we were kissing, um, next minute she, you know, put put my penis inside of her. Um, and then I know some people like, yo, Walt, like that's kind of crazy. Like it really don't go like that. Okay, you know. Again, I don't want to get. I know they're like. I don't want to really get into that. Um, it's like, okay, so what do I do now? You know, no, nobody was there to teach me how to put the condom on. So um, life was life was just crazy, and that was in high school. So you talking about taking that to college, and then it was just like, ooh. And so I kind of just I spiraled. I spiraled out of control. You know, literally to the point where it's like I tried to I tried to OD. This is when I realized I was a big dude. I tried to OD. I didn't even. I want to be careful how I say this because there are people that really struggle with mental health. But when that didn't work, it kind I was like, wow, I'm not even good enough to like kill myself. And I mean, like everything I could get my hands on, like I tried. I tried, you know. And I was so hurt. I was so hurt. I remember sitting in the arboretum at UNC, and I was so distraught. Like that was the first I say second time, but first time I was really cognizant is like I don't want to be here. Like I could literally feel death on me. It was like, you know, I just I didn't want to be here, you know. Um Again, and a lot of these things, some of my family's going to hear for the first time. They're going to be like, "What?" But they super spiritual. um they save as it come. You know what I'm saying? And they deal and they struggle with a lot of things that they can't really talk about. They just pray about, and shout about, and God gonna do it. But what happens when He doesn't? You know, what happens when Daddy don't come home? You know what I'm saying? Um, and so fast forward. You know, I told you I've always been a church boy, and so um, I'm in church playing drums. I go from playing drums to singing and playing drums because I can sing a little bit. And it's one of the things I love to do. Like anybody that works with me, shout out to my coworkers because y'all don't understand, man. Y'all give me life. It's probably, um, it's one of the things that keeps me alive, keeps me going. Uh, I really appreciate the people that I work with, but they'll tell you in any job I've ever had, they'll tell you, they'll be like, Walt is loud, Walt loves to sing, and just Walt is Walt. But I was playing the drums and singing at the same time. Um, some of y'all ain't about that life. And then it went from there to like I became, a praise and worship leader. And so a lot of people don't know that. Um, and yeah, like went from that to it's like, all right, uh 2009, I became a licensed minister. So yeah, April we'll be celebrating, I can't count, 11 years. 11 years. Um a lot of people don't know that. I told you I got to get this off of me, you know. And so 11 years, you know, uh, April the 5th, if I'm not mistaken, is the date. And wow, you know. it was a crazy day. It was a crazy day. But shout out the day before, I had an opportunity. My wife, she took me to the beach. Um, and just for me to spend time, you know, I remember she wrote me this letter talking about, she wanted me to see the ocean. And she wanted me to understand how, to see the waves and to see the tide and to see how God is in command of everything. And how I'm an ocean. And you know, and just to allow him to just stay in control. Uh, just continue to answer to him. And I want to say to her, thank you, because had it not been for that, I probably would have never went through with it. Like, I'm serious. I was like, I can't do this. Um, and that's something that had been spoken over my life when I was a baby. I didn't know that until later, you know. And I remember telling my mom, my dad was ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? I'm a multi generation, you know what I'm saying, preacher. And my dad was ecstatic. My mom was like, "What? Like, wait, huh?" You know. And then that's when she kind of told me, she was like, "Well, this is prophesied over you when the baby." And I was like, "Cool," you know. Like, when did that happen? So shout out to Sister Nana and Brother Wayne, Bro Wayne. Um, yeah. But yeah. I preached about Paul and being bitten um by the snake and how he shook it off. Um, and the title of the message was "It Didn't Kill Me." And I mean, service was it was a great day. It was a great day. That's not me just saying that. I honestly believe, like, it was a great day. It was an epic day, a day I'll never forget. Um, and so, even that title, it was a declaration, but I didn't understand it. Because I thought I had been through the worst in my life. It was like, yo, okay, it didn't kill me, and I made it. I hadn't made it. I was getting ready to find out, he woo, what making it is all about. And so, um, yeah, like I gotta fit, man, because there's no way I can sit here and chop this up. Like, I don't necessarily want to run y'all for. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna be shooting at like 40, 45 minutes. I can't see myself talking. Well, I can talk about this for an hour, but I don't want to. I really, because there's no way you can kind of pile this into, you know. But I don't know if you're watching. You're watching. I hope this blesses you. So, yeah, it didn't kill me, and I was getting ready to find out what it was like to be killed. Um, and so the two most meaningful messages that I've ever preached in my life was the first one. Um, it didn't kill me, and then one of my other favorite messages was um, the crushing place. Um, and just talking about the wine press and the process of making wine. And one of my favorite scriptures, is you don't pour new wine in the old wine skins unless you'll destroy both of them, and they'll both be ruined. You know, and so we always talk about we can't wait for the new thing, and God is gonna do a new thing, and forget the former things. And it's like, yeah, but not when you got the same mentality, and so I was that way. Every year is passing by, and it's like, yo, I'm gonna be new this year. I'm gonna be a different person. Like, this year's not gonna be like last year. And it was like it just kept getting worse because I was dealing with symptoms I didn't want to face the problem though that I still had an issue with unforgiveness. Even though I was declaring and I was speaking those things that be not as though they were, and I was fasting and all of it, I was doing everything. It's like I forgiven my father and I forgiven until I understood. This is later on, in my marriage, where I started to understand concepts of deliverance, concepts of life. I mean, the one thing that I always say is that deliverance is a choice. My mama used to talk about how she loved to smoke Newports. I'm gonna tell you now. She never smoked when I was a baby, but I love the smell of Newport cigarettes. I don't smoke. I got asthma, so that's not an option for me. But I can tell the difference, between a pack of Marlboros and a pack of Newports and a pack of 100s and some shorts or what. Like I know, and I love the smell of it. And she used to talk about. I always joke. I'd be like, "Mama, before you die, we're gonna smoke a cigarette together." She'd be like, "No, I ain't." She said, "I gave that up, and I ain't never going back." But she always used to talk about how she thought she would never be able to quit, and one day she just stopped. You know, and that's always stuck with me. Because it's like a lot of times we look for God to do things for us, like Lord, just take it away, and He'd be like, "No, I don't have to take it away. I've given you the power to do that." You know, that's why I'm very hard on creatives, especially people that go to church and Christian entrepreneurs and stuff. Because we'll be like, Lord, are you gonna do it for me? And it's like, no, no, I'm not. I've given you the power to get wealth, so you do it. We sit here and we struggle and we cry, be like, God, why is it not working? I was like, because I gave you the power to do it, and so I find myself in that same situation where it's like, okay, God, you're not gonna do it because you want me to do it. And so, marriage is not a lifetime. It's not forever. It's a choice. It's a choice you have to make every day. You have to choose to say, I do every day. Forgiveness, I didn't understand that it worked the same way. I have to choose to forgive every day because every day there could possibly be something that triggers me to go back into that place. So I have to decide. I have to make a decision. That's why I'm saying today, me getting delivered is not about, you know, me getting delivered is about I'm making a decision, you know. And so, like, I didn't understand, that I was still struggling with that. And so I was heavily involved in church and heavy. Again, for privacy reasons, I really don't want to speak to a lot of that because this is not an indictment against anybody, or whatever. But if you know, you know. If you don't, it ain't for you to know. But I was heavily involved, for 10 and a half years, almost 11 years. And then all of a sudden, stuff just went left, right, up, down, topsy turvy. Um, People that I gave my life to, people that I gave my everything to, like literally, I sacrificed my family. I would go, I would go months at a time without seeing my family. It got to the point where it was like, I don't need my family. My family is dysfunctional. I can't stand that word. Mm. Deliverance and dysfunctional, two words that kind of make me cringe because that's what was beat into me. Um, and literally to the point where it was like I thought something was wrong with my family, so it's like all I needed was my church family. That's why I'm not big on like people calling people sons and daughters and fathers and mother. Be my pastor, you know, be apostle, prophet, teacher, evangelist, whatever, bishop. You be the title, but God blessed me with two wonderful parents, and there's a like the lines get so blurred. And everybody always says that they're different, and we're not gonna make the same mistakes that's always been made. No, it's impossible because things become too personal. And when things become personal, there's always room for miscommunication. There's always room for misinterpretation, you know. And so you'll, even in correction, you'll look at correction the wrong way because you don't know how to take the correction or the discipline or the rebuke or the reprimand or whatever. You don't know how to take that as, is this my father talking to me or is this my pastor talking to me? Like, that's where I was. Like, is this my mom talking to me or is this my pastor talking to me? Like, I don't know how to discern between the two because my mom and daddy would never say that. And they've never said that. So again, I don't really want to get too deep into that. Um because there's a lot around that. But long story short, because again, there's no way I can put 11 years in this small amount of time. But long story short, my wife and I ended up leaving, and it was not pretty. Now I was raised, from a church standpoint, I believe I was raised the right way, and I didn't leave. I followed protocol. You know, I didn't just walk out. I followed protocol, and forget calling it protocol. I just did what was respectful. Um, you know, prayed about it, fasted about it, made a decision, had a meeting to inform of my decision, walked out the office, no ill will, so I thought, no hard feelings, so I thought. I was devastated, devastated. I was devastated for a lot of different reasons. Uh, I was devastated because I had watched so many people walk in and out of building, um, and be looked at like, you know, less than a positive way upon their exit. And it's like, that'll never happen to me. I'm a son. You would never treat your son like that. And yeah, but that wasn't the kicker. What really did it were the people that I considered family, and not even from a spiritual sense. These were my friends, my brothers, um, that I would have died for at the drop of a hat. That I would have given anything for. That we had been through everything together. We partied together, we clubbed together, we broke down together, we got evicted from apartments together. Um, we struggled together, we flourished together. Um, People that I've given a place to stay, people that I would have given the clothes off my back, people that I've let use, what I'm saying, my car when I had two cars at the time. Um, they left me. And that was hard. That was hard. Like when I say that was hard, that was hard. Um, I felt like that 7-year-old kid all over again. Um, Anybody that knows me knows that I'm big. I'm huge on friendship. It's the highest level of appreciation. It's the highest level of status that you can have in my life. Um, I'll take it from the biblical approach. No greater love than a man who will lay down his life for a friend, and that's how I feel about my friends, and they know that. People that I call friend, people that call me friend. That's the standard I have, and they know that, and they can hold me to that because that's how I live my life. And so that hurt. I was I was devastated, because all here I am thinking it's like, okay, I'm getting through this, I'm getting over this, and it's like, bam, here comes a trigger that's like, whoa, and I don't like to give the devil any credit. He is who he is. He does what he does, but he's still a liar at the end of the day. So I let him stay in his place. Which is hell. And he can go back there anytime he gets ready. But like, it wasn't so much that I was mad with the devil because I wasn't. I was upset with God because I was like, why in the world would you allow this to happen to me? Like, after everything we've been through together, after countless Sundays, and Tuesdays, and conferences and revivals, and just countless times of pouring out to people and being so empty, having to go home and cry yourself to sleep because all you want to do is kill yourself. And to turn right back around and roll in that Sunday morning and put everything aside and say, you know what? There's somebody in here today that's on the edge of life. And I'm going to give it all I got, you know, so that they can stay on this side of the land of the living. And go home. And, for my wife to have to sit there and just, love on me and try to love me through all of that. It was heavy. Now, mind y'all, I'm telling y'all all of this. We got married in 2015. I left in 2016. We left in 2016. But we had been together basically since like 2010. Um, Unofficially 2008. Known each other since 2005. So she's been there, for most of this drama and trauma. So again, I haven't even spoken to that. You know, I, you know, I'm big on, okay, this is what the Bible says, but what doesn't it say? What's not written on the pages? Like, what's not there? I know what it says, but what doesn't it say? You know, I've said a lot, but what haven't I said? In regards to her, consider what she's had to see to deal with through all of this. Um, and so like that devastated me, and I felt like I just felt like I went backwards. I was this 8-year old kid, 7-year old kid again, and you know, still 30 years old, 31 years old, 32 years old, still struggling. With his daddy not coming home, and you know, it was just I've had to get to a place of being by myself. Um, Again, for privacy reasons, I won't speak to a lot, but the last year has been very rough, difficult. Um, for my wife as it relates to me. Um, And I just want to say from, real talk, like I know I spoke about anger management. I've not put my hands on. I don't believe in that. I don't condone it. So, um, but while I haven't been physically abusive, I didn't put my hands on her. I put my words on her. I put my emotions on her. I put my finances on her. I put my, spiritual brokenness on her. And a person can only deal with that for so long. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's a lot to deal with, and so it's been difficult. You know what I'm saying? And I look back over my life, and it's like I haven't had. I've had some good relationships, um, but none of them successful. Um, because in every single relationship, I was looking for my dad to come back home. Like, if you know me, I'm a lover. Like, I love hard, super hard, like ridiculously hard. And yeah, well, all right, you gotta wrap this up in like 10 minutes. I love super hard, and so yeah, like I found myself in a lot of situations where it's just like love trying to find that love, you know, for over 20 years, you know, like the affirmation of my father, you know. And I'm grateful that we're at a place now where I'm able to get, those things. Um, where things that that I'm like, yo, if I had this 15, 20 years ago, like, dude, but it still lets me know that God has such a significant plan for my life. Um, his timing is perfect, and it's like, okay, why, like when I walked out, the church, it was like, why would you allow me to go through that? And even in going to church since then, I felt so unfulfilled, I just felt so out of touch. Especially these last 8 months, it's just kind of been like, ugh, you know, because everything became about skill, everything became about working. I'm at a place now where it's just I'm not gonna say I don't believe it, but there's a very fine line. You gotta find a balance between working where you worship. Like, it's dangerous. Um, so that's a balance that I'm still trying to find. Um, but it's just like Walt, you know, you're not immature. You acting out in some immature ways, but you're not immature. You're very intelligent. You're very smart. Um, you have the tools that it takes if you just decide to use them. If you make a decision, you know. Um, and that's kind of what my this is what this is about. My truth, just me deciding just to not lie to myself. To not lie to other people. Because I'm not a lie. Like, I don't go out here and lie. Like, I promise you. Sometimes I'm too honest. I'm one of the most honest people you will meet. But at the same time, it's like all the while, it's like I've been living this lie. Trying to seem like everything is okay, and it's not. Like I started off, I have I had, I struggle with anger management. As far as internally, it's like so much rage, and it's like you got to sit here and be angry but sin not, and it's like, so what the heck am I supposed to do? Just go to sleep? You don't want to go. You don't want to die with that on you. You know what I'm saying? And so, what is at the root of it? Unforgiveness. And so, how do you deal with that? What are the next steps? What is the call to action? Because I'm big on that. It's not enough just to talk about it. What do you do about it? For that person that's watching, it's like, yo, I feel the exact same way. What am I supposed to do? Um, you gotta acknowledge it. Anybody that knows me, I'm probably gonna put this on a shirt, or this gonna be my campaign slogan one day. But I always say that when you become aware, you become accountable, and so people don't want to hold themselves accountable out of the fear of losing. Whether that's losing your mind, losing people, whatever. My biggest fear was losing my wife, you know, and we've gone through some hard, crazy stuff, and I've put her through some crazy stuff. Not because I'm a crazy person, and I don't want to throw that term out there loosely, so please forgive me for that. But not because I'm a bad person, because it's not. Like I'm, I am a lover. Like, but I wasn't loving in the right way because I was looking for something that I was never going to get or was supposed to get. And I wasn't supposed to get it because I needed to go through all of that. Why did I need to go through all of that? So I can get to this place of sharing my truth with you so that you can see that you're not in this world by yourself. Because, my father said that to me last night. He said, a lot of times you feel like you can just, it's all you and nobody else is going through it. And that's when it kind of clicked. It was like, okay, I have to decide, and I got to decide when I wake up every day that this is what I'm gonna do. So first, you gotta acknowledge it, and you have to acknowledge it, and you have to say that it's okay. When trauma happens, when there's a break in the home, when there's a break in relationship, when there's a break in just the continuity of life, things that um, as far as in yourself, like it's natural, like it's okay. Like don't douse it in oil, don't throw a whole bunch of scripture on it. Just acknowledge it, like face it. And if that's difficult for you to do, get help. You know, uh, pray about it and see a therapist. Pray about it and see a counselor. Go to church and go to therapy. Um, and if you got to put one in front of the other, put one in front of the other. I'm not gonna be that person that sit here and tell you you're gonna go to hell because you feel like you're not getting what you need. Um, in church. I want to be very careful how I say that because I believe fellowship is important. I believe fellowship is necessary, and the Bible says that we are commune together, and that we are to fellowship together, and that we are to gather together. But I want people to understand that me choosing my deliverance, me making a decision, I'm not confined to a building. Like I'm doing this in my home, you know. Um, and that's okay because me doing this in the safety and security of my home allows me now to walk back in a building and to say, okay, I can handle this now, you know? So it should usher you back, so acknowledge it, accept it, get the help you need to acknowledge it and accept it. And then once you do that, like, forgive yourself, because I say that's number two, because a lot of times we torment ourselves and we feel like we did something wrong, as if it was our fault, so you got to forgive yourself, because I'm telling you, you will not be able to forgive the other person if you don't forgive yourself. No matter how many times you try, if you do not forgive yourself for carrying that weight unnecessarily, and for whatever role you think you played, because a lot of times it was not your fault. The only thing you had responsibility for was for carrying what was not yours. Like when my parents got divorced, it had nothing to do with me, but I felt like it had everything to do with me. They didn't get divorced because of me, but I carried that. I took that on. I felt like, oh, the weight of the world is on my shoulders. This elephant is on my chest and this monkey is on my back, and I can't breathe. I can't be me. So now the anger, the frustration, it becomes strength. So you can take all of that off. Um, so acknowledge it, get help so you can acknowledge it. Forgive yourself. And I'm not just going to sit here and say forgive the other person, forgive whoever, whatever the situation is. Because it's not that easy. But what I will say is start to rely on your faith, whatever that is. Start to rely on your faith, because no matter what religion you subscribe to, um, they all come back to this place of consciousness, this place of righteousness in its own respect, um, to where there's a level of positivity that we're supposed to remain. And so really start to build that back up, build that up, really start to focus on those things that are going to help build you up as a person. And as you do that, you will see the need to forgive. The biggest thing for me, I always wanted to be a dad. I always wanted to be a father, but it was for the wrong reasons. Um, and so, um, I lost, you know, um, we lost, that's, again, I don't want to necessarily speak to that. But it is a burden that I've carried, um, that I felt guilty for, because it's like the one thing I always told God, it was like, I don't want to be this type of father to my kid. I never want to leave my kid. I don't want to hand this down to my kid, generational curses. I want to break the cycle. And so, again, it was unforgiveness. Like, even in saying that, it's like, I don't want to be this type of father. What kind of father is that? Because my daddy loves me. Like, legit. Like, I know that. Like, I know that. My dad is a good father. He ain't a perfect person, but he's a good father. And so I'm like, so you don't want to be what kind of father? You know what I'm saying? And so one of the weights that I've carried is that, in losing, um, when you lose a child and you see your wife, your significant other go through that, it's like, wow, I did that. Like, that's my fault, because, um, had the stress of me, um, not being in a place of being healthy, being whole, um, had that not weighed so much, on her, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally, things might would have been different. Um, and so again, that's part of that process of acknowledging and understanding what's your responsibility, what you're supposed to be accountable for, and not. Because again, that's one of those things that it's like, I can't make sense. And I don't want to over spiritualize that, because there are people that are dealing with that type of loss, and they deal with that on a daily basis. And it's like, okay, God, is something wrong with me? Am I being cursed? Um, you know, Something that is so precious, that seems to be so easy for other people who don't even care. Let me take that back again. It would seem as if people who don't care, about their kids or whatever, and it's like, okay, here it is. I want to be a father so I can love them, but it's like, well, you got to love them the right way. You got to start with loving yourself, you know. And it's not until I can love myself that I can even begin, to love my wife or love other people. Um, and to even think about, being able to love my child in the way that they deserve to be loved. So, yeah, today, February the 16th, 2020, um, is the day I'm deciding, you know, I'm choosing to forgive. And that's my truth. I'm choosing to forgive. I can turn this camera off and something happen that challenges me on what I said, and I'm pretty sure that'll be the case. And so tomorrow I will have to wake up. If the Lord blesses me to, to wake up and do it all over again and say, today I choose to forgive. And it has, if you got to take 1 minute at a time, 10 minutes at a time, 1 hour at a time, um, make it a routine, because life is short. And, we've seen that so far this year where in an instant, you know what I'm saying, things we take for granted, like, coming home. In an instant, your world can literally turn upside down. And life is too short to be walking around here angry and upset and mad because it robs you of your peace, robs you of your happiness, and it robs, the people around you, it robs them of their peace. So I do want to say to my family, to my friends, to my coworkers, to church family, um, I do love you. I do, I feel if there's anything that there needs to be forgiveness, I forgive you. And I ask that you forgive me, you know, um, for whatever. I know I've done a lot of things that that are less than positive. We'll just leave it at that. But I ask you to forgive me for those things, and especially to my wife. I want to separate her because again, there's no possible way I can take my life and put it in, to roughly an hour. And there's no possible way I can speak on the impact that my life has had on you. Um, and it hasn't been, positive for most of it. I can't even begin to understand how you may feel, the things that you've had to deal with, that you can't even tell me about, you know, um, because marriage is a choice, and it's something you have to choose to do every day, just like forgiveness. And you are not the poster child for pity, you know. Uh, I think sometimes, in an effort to try to, you know, shine light on how good of a person you are, I've like made it worse. And I've allowed the unforgiveness in my heart to dim, you know, put a shadow, on the light that should be shining on you. And so, I want to say I'm sorry to you. I apologize to you. I forgive, you um, for anything, that has been, said or done or whatever. But I ask you to forgive me. And yeah, you are definitely um, a friend that goes far beyond the Call of Duty. So I just again, there's so much I could speak to it that, but y'all will be listening to me for another hour. So again, I appreciate y'all rocking out with me. I just wanted to take some time. I feel a whole lot better, and I know this is not the end of the walk. This is just the beginning, and so yeah, fine. F it. F it. Whatever it is, F it. Just forgive it. You know, F them, forgive them, and choose to forgive, choose to love. That's the only way you can be angry and sin not. You know, that's the only way that scripture is only gonna be able to work. Um, because I'm like, bruh, you know, that's hard. But yeah, and to that young man that is waiting for their father to come home and they may never come back. Um, I want to speak to you and I want to say that there's nothing wrong with you. I understand your pain. I understand your anger. I understand your frustration. I understand your hate. Um, I understand your tears. You know, um, but I would ask that um, not follow in my footsteps and wait so long to acknowledge it. You know, get help sooner to help you acknowledge it. You know that you can so you can start to begin the process of reconciliation within yourself and restoration and forgiveness in yourself. Um, I love you. You know, as men, I know a lot of times we don't say that to you know each other like we're supposed to. Um, and there's a lot of us looking for affirmation in women. Um, when only you can only get that, you know, um, from a man. You know, only a man can affirm a man, and I don't care what your beliefs are. Only a man can affirm a man. At the end of the day, and so I love you. Uh, I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you, and there's nothing wrong with you. You are normal. You are okay. Um, you are great. You know, you're strong. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're handsome. You're funny. You're athletic. Whatever it is that you want to be, you can be, and you will be. And I believe in you. You know, so if nobody has ever told you, if no man has ever told you, uh, I'm telling you now that I love you and I'm proud of you. You know, and keep going, no matter what. Keep going. But to everybody else, thank you. Thank you for your time. I love you. I really do. I love you a lot. And yeah, this is my truth.